Let me guess. You didn't burn out when everything was falling apart. You burned out after things worked. After the promotion, after the degree, after the move, the new role, the thing that was supposed to make your life easier. That's the part no one warned you about. Because burnout is usually explained as a stress problem. Too much work, not enough rest. Just take a break, recharge, come back stronger. What's the problem, right? Except a lot of smart, high functioning people do exactly that. They rest, they reset, and they still feel off. That's not a personal failure, it's a clue. And once you understand why burnout shows up after success, you stop trying to fix yourself and start asking much better questions. Here's where things get kind of weird. If burnout were just about being tired, rest would fix it, right? Take a vacation, get some more sleep, log off. And yeah, those things help temporarily. But a lot of people do all that and come back thinking, okay, why do I still feel like crap? That's because burnout usually isn't about what's happening now. It's about what's been happening for a long time. Burnout is a lagging indicator. It shows up late, after the adrenaline wears off, after the structure that kept you moving disappears. During intense periods, momentum does a lot of emotional heavy lifting. Deadlines distract you, progress papers over cracks. Now, once things slow down, your system finally gets a chance to shout, hey, this hasn't been working. That's why burnout often hits after success, not during the chaos, but after the dust settles. And that's also why it feels so disorienting. On paper, everything looks fine, right? But internally, it's not. And that gap, that's not weakness, that's information. Here's the mistake people make. They hear the burnout signal and they say, what's wrong with me? How can I be more resilient, right? Maybe I just need better habits. Sure, those are reasonable questions, but in most cases, they're the wrong ones. A better question is, what is this environment actually asking of me, right? Like, what does it reward and what does it quietly punish? Think about it. Some workplaces reward speed over judgment. Some reward compliance over discernment. And others reward availability over actual agency. Now, if your strengths are insight, nuance, or creative decision making, and the system only values execution and yes answers, guess what happens? Burnout. Not because you're weak and not because you didn't rest enough. Because the system was never built to use what you're good at. Now, here's the kicker. The smarter you are, the harder you try to adapt. You tweak, you optimize, you push, go back to the drawing board, you beat yourself up, and yet the same cycle repeats. So, the problem isn't you. It's the misalignment between your abilities and the system you're in. And once you see it that way, burnout stops being a punishment. It becomes feedback, a signal pointing you towards something that actually makes sense for you. Now, I've seen this pattern play out more times than I can count. And yes, including in my own work. The tricky part here, it's never just the workload. It's being in roles that don't actually use what you're good at, or worse, can't even recognize it. You can show up, do everything right, and still feel drained and like super frustrated. That's when burnout stops being mysterious. It's not a punishment, it's feedback. And it's saying something here isn't aligned with what you bring to the table. So here's the takeaway. Burnout isn't a failure of self care, it's often the cost of prolonged misalignment. In the next episode, we'll get into why rest alone rarely fixes burnout and what actually needs to change for you to feel fully recharged. So think of this as like the first stop on a short series about burnout. Not the usual productivity tips, not like the just take a break advice, but the strategic, structural, high performing perspective. If this resonates, stick with me. We're just getting started.